TeamRegulars presents the review for the new Blackboxtv episode, Left Behind.
Hi, and welcome to another Blackboxtv review. This week, the Team Regulars are reviewing Season 3, Episode 3, Left Behind. If you haven't seen this episode yet, please do, because there will be spoilers.
In this episode, a teenage boy named Caleb is staying in his dad's house after his father committed suicide. He's been staying there for a month, trying to open this weird door that has a passcode. The house has been sold, and his mother is concerned about him being able to leave it all behind, and he obviously didn't want it sold. The people who are moving in are doing so this weekend, so there's already a little timeline thing. His girlfriend goes to check on him because his father's suicide has affected him greatly and he's been missing a lot of school. And the two of them sort of try to open the door, and then they find the code, open it, and it unleashes a strange morphing liquid that kind of reminds me of the Terminator thing.
Again, I don't feel like I'm watching Blackboxtv. I feel like I'm watching some other show that is doing horror short films online. This is not Blackboxtv. This is not the way it looks. This is not what it's supposed to be. I don't know what I'm watching. I don't know what this is.
I'd like to start off by saying that this episode I found was a lot better than the second episode, but that's just my opinion. And yeah, so I thought that the acting was really good, that the characters played their parts well, especially right there at the beginning when it goes to the screenshot, or the pan, I guess, of the house, and how the kid is there, and there's like dirty dishes everywhere, and you know, that kind of thing. So, and then later you find out that he has been in that house for a while, so it's probably all his, and you know, just losing a parent is a very hard thing to deal with.
I think that this video had solid acting, which was good and much appreciated. Decent enough storyline, like you could feel it building. It didn't quite reach a point where I felt there was any real stress to it, but I feel like it's building up to some other video in the future, so here's hoping. I think that the filming itself was pretty good. The lighting was not nearly as Hollywoodish as the others, and I greatly appreciated that because I don't like the rosy sunset lighting.
I am not too entirely fond of this episode. I thought that it was good in general, but it's still the feel of the episode is still too mainstream for me, and it just doesn't have that Blackboxtv, or it doesn't have that just overall general YouTube feel where it's not like 100% professional, and it's just too overly cinematic for YouTube to me.
Now this episode, unlike the previous two episodes, had no storyline, had no real information to give, had no point, really. I don't know what I watched. I don't know what this was. I don't know what the point of all this was. It made no sense.
I also really like the 3 different camera angles, because I like that, you know, you can see them setting up the blanket, you can see how they got there, and that kind of thing. Yeah, I like that it's in there. I really like the horror-like movie suspense kind of near the middle of the episode, with the, you know, him not being able to get the door open, and you know, not talking to anybody, and then when his mother comes to the door and is knocking on the door, it's like, oh my god, why did you come? It's, I like the horror movie, like, suspense, and yeah.
It starts off incredibly well paced. The ticking of the clock really set the tone and mood for this scene, and the filter used throughout really captivated the moments. And I have to say, one thing of note to notice in every single Blackbox TV episode is that the score is always spot on. Great job with this one, Brandon. Good on you. I also have to say that Shauna, who played Erin, the best friend in this episode, really surprised me. I'm used to seeing her as a more comedic type of actress, but it was really refreshing to see her take on a more dramatic role. Even though she only had a few lines, she was able to transcend the concern of a best friend really well. I do hope that after this Silverwood series that that Tony and everybody will go back to the old school Blackbox TV. Not saying that change is bad. I'm just not digging this style at all.
The multiple frames weren't as offensive in this episode, I think, just because there were fewer of them. But I'm still really iffy with them. I feel like this was mostly a transitional episode, and the whole Silverwood plot is kind of still in the developing stage. But I'm looking forward to seeing more of it.
Now, some people haven't liked the multiple screens in the previous episodes. I've tended to like them, but this one was a little weird. When they've done them in the past, it was different screens, but they were doing the same thing in all of them, just from a different angle. This one was 3 completely different things in the different ones. There's one at the top that went across the whole thing, where they were walking towards the tree. The other one, they were putting down their blanket, and then the other one, they were already sitting down. That just felt too weird and too continuity, like, painful. So I don't know what that was. That was kind of disappointing, because I liked those things. I thought it was creative and interesting and new. But it didn't work this time. It was just kind of weird. There were a number of shots in this that I actually liked. There were some that were really gritty and dark, and the filter looked very rough and non-professional. What Blackbox TV was. Had the gritty, the unpolished look to it. It just had this really awesome look to it that was, you know, gritty and dirty, and it just looked great. That was Blackbox TV.
I really like the flashbacks and how the creepy music is kind of incorporated in there a little bit, and just how I just like how they did the flashbacks. And speaking of the creepy music, I really actually like the creepy music and how it comes in at the right time during different parts of the episode. I also really liked how the code for the door was behind the clock, and, you know, the clue was his girlfriend saying that clock is really annoying. I thought that was pretty, like, it was kind of an obvious place for it to be, but yet so not obvious. And I really like that in movies or episodes of things. It's kind of cool.
Caleb, played by Jared, was also really brilliant. He was completely believable and natural. I will have to say, however, that his mother in this episode came off as a little bit too scripted. It's natural for a parent to be overly concerned about a child's well-being, but it just came off as really cheesy and a little bit scripted to me. Now, my only concern as far as the continuity and sequence of these past 3 episodes goes is that usually with a Blackbox TV episode, you get a big payoff in each one. Now that we're doing a streamlined episode where each one is connected in some big way, we're still waiting for that big reveal of how everything is connected. So right now it's about the destination and not the journey. Acting was really good in this episode, and I think that the storyline is interesting, and I think that more could have been done with it, but it seemed too superficial in a sense, and that a whole lot really didn't happen. I mean, the only interesting part, like the only depth to the entire thing was the fact that the father killed himself, and the son was depressed about it.
Overall, I think it was a decent episode. It's not the old Black Box TV that I know and love, but, you know, I'm open to new things, whatever. However, I do think that after the Silverwood series, I would like to see more videos that hit close to home with slightly more realistic issues, like, I don't know, like the burglaries or, you know, the flirting with someone on Skype that we see in Leave Me Alone. I think when you play with the human psyche, it's a little more interesting and a little creepier. So I know it's kind of going into the sci-fi area with Silverwood, and that's okay, but I hope you guys don't leave behind the whole creepy vibe as well.
There's 12 minutes of an episode. They said they're doing 15. They could have done 3 more minutes and put in 3 more minutes of stuff. Really easy information that they could have put in this. Maybe would have made sense or had some sort of purpose. Did you guys even write a script? Or were you just like, oh, let's do this? It felt like there was no script writing. It felt like it was just blah, just put there. No real reason. I hated it. I liked the special effect of the little goo turning into the spider. That was cool. But there was no point for this entire episode.
I really like the creature, how it's got kind of its own design, and it's not really identifiable as like an alien or a, I don't know, a monster, like a specific sort of monster. It's kind of just weird and Black Box TV like, so that's good. And it seems more like a series now because it's got the C, the word C, and that crown showing up. So it seems like eventually we will understand what those mean. And I really liked the ending where the pretty big creature that ate his girlfriend and him, I liked how it was a fairly large creature and it kind of seemingly transformed into the spider and then kind of just scurried away. So that's kind of interesting and kind of leaves it open for it might come back later, who knows.
The special effects of this episode were, of course, spot on. It's not to be surprised. With a higher budget, you can use more special effects. I will have to say that I would have loved to see more of the creature. When Caleb shines a flashlight on him as the creature is attacking the girlfriend, I would have loved to see more light shine on them so we can really see the girlfriend's emotion and to see more of this creature. And so either more lighting in that scene or, I don't know, just a little bit more detail right there. Now, just one little prediction. The mother in this episode mentions that the house is for sale and that Caleb would have had to move out and pack up all his father's stuff soon. So this leaves the door open for a future character to move into this home. Will this happen? We'll have to wait and see. But we do know that there's a connection between the last 2 episodes and this one, and of course the future episodes. So we'll just have to keep on watching to figure out what that is. And yeah, but with metonyv, of course, there's going to be a big, huge payout at the end. So for all of you concerned, stick with it. And yeah, so that was this week's review. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you enjoyed this episode as well. So please subscribe, and we'll see you next time.